So as most of you guys know who watch these videos on this channel, I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious and everyone knows this about me by now. It's about my only freaking character trait these days. And if you have a look, I've spent like freaking $2,000 on Spider-Man pops, just literally chilling in the background, collecting dust. And that's my life. But obviously, one thing I've absolutely loved about Spider-Man in recent years is the games that they've released, particularly Marvel Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man 2, and genuinely just have played countless hours of them all. And of course, when Spider-Man 2 came out, I absolutely loved it. I still love it and still play it quite regularly, and it's one of my all-time favorite games. But one of the things I feel like I've never discussed on this channel before and have really talked about or thought about even in person is, what does the future look like for Marvel Spider-Man 3? Of course, we know the sequel is coming, so I genuinely thought it'd be quite interesting if this little chubby fat kid just went on the microphone and started yapping about his wish list and what I want to see for Marvel Spider-Man 3, and of course give you guys all of my thoughts and opinions on that. So again, before we do get into it, there's still a decent amount of you guys who watch these videos who are not yet subscribed to the channel. So if you could do me a massive favor and leave a like on this video to let me know you enjoy it, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I guess we'll get straight into it with what I would potentially like to see. Again, I thought I'd start off with some story details here, specifically the villains. And one thing I really want to see from this game does actually happen to be Norman Osborn obviously becoming Green Goblin, but becoming Green Goblin very early on. Again, I think we see in most of the games like the main villain really doesn't pop up until the end. Venom was like the last 5 hours or so of Marvel Spider-Man 2. Doc Ock, I think, was even less time than that in, of course, the first Marvel Spider-Man. Again, you could argue that Mr. Negative was still the main villain of the first one until a certain point. Same could be said about Kraven the Hunter for the second one. But I want Norman Osborn as Green Goblin to be the main villain from the absolute start to the finish. I want him to really, I think, like that let me introduce myself meme very early on for Norman Osborn as Green Goblin. And I think it'd be awesome if he just became more and more of a threat as the game went on, till at the end we see him and being an absolute menace who was making Spider-Man's life absolute hell, which we've seen him act like in multiple Spider-Man movies, comics, TV shows, all of the above. Again, I would absolutely love that with other villains returning. We know Doc Ock is supposed to be returning by the post-credit scene. Again, I don't know if this is a complete raft breakout that Norman Osborn is going to do and somehow the Sinister Six or something gets set back up but with new villains. Could be where they go with that. But again, I want to see not only Doc Ock returning, but I'd love to see Kingpin return. I think Kingpin, his story would be good if they executed it right, but we do have to keep in mind they have to be very careful with not undoing everything that Peter Parker and Spider-Man worked so hard to do before the original game does take place. Again, he says that he has been trying to put Fisk behind bars for years, and he finally does it at the start of Spider-Man, and he finally gets this feeling of hope and like he's done something really good before we know all shit breaks loose. So you have to be very careful to not undo that when you do release Kingpin. But in saying that, if you do release Kingpin, this could be honestly even a setup for future Spider-Man installments or for the game, you know, having all of his goons out on the street, actually getting to see what Kingpin is as a mastermind and trying to take down Spider-Man. Again, how they want to go about that is going to be interesting. They do just have to be awfully careful that they don't ruin what the first one, of course, did. Again, some other villains I would personally like to see in the game. I'd love to see Chameleon and how his character is going to be. Again, we got to actually have a little taste of what Chameleon is actually going to be like at the end of Marvel Spider-Man 2, and how he's going to try and get some revenge, it seems to be, for his brother Kravinoff. So I would love to see him. I'd also love to see Hobgoblin, maybe in this game, especially if they've got the Green Goblin, a Hobgoblin, or like a baby goblin, like whatever Harry was in Spider-Man 3. Is that gonna be Harry Osborn as Hobgoblin, or are they going to go with another character that we've seen along the lines? Again, I would love to see them with also some potential other villains, maybe like a Hydro Man, something like that, which we haven't really seen. I just hope that they don't bring in or introduce Carnage in this one. Again, I think that needs to be saved for the Venom game, which should hopefully be before this one. I think if we had some more symbiote stuff in this game, it would feel personally out of place, and I just hope they don't do that. Some other things about the game in terms of story-wise, I really do hope that they don't kill Peter Parker, and that by the end of the game, Peter Parker is potentially a dad to Mayday Parker, with, of course, his wife that I'm guessing they're going to get married in this game, MJ. I'm not too sure. I would love for that to be the ending to Peter's story if they want to go down that direction, and I just pray they don't kill him. I think that would be terrible for the story and terrible to the 95% of players who prefer him over Miles and would, prefer to play as him, or prefer to just have him not die. I don't know. Again, I think it'd be terrible. I just hope he retires by the end of the game if they're going to go down that direction. Mayday Parker happens, he gets married maybe. Please end it off like that. No one wants to see him die. That would be absolutely terrible, and I just don't want it, man. Again, other things with the story, I hope they leave it open-ended, like not a complete finish. I hope there's potential and like hints at a potential Spider-Man 4, which if they want to have Peter retiring and doing all that type of stuff, then in Spider-Man 4 we could have Miles and Silk and maybe Spider-Gwen as the 3 Spider-Man or something like that, or maybe just Silk and Miles. That would be fine. Again, it wouldn't be as fun, and it might not be as big of a business move, but it'd still be an idea. And of course, having the Avengers, teased maybe at the end of this game, and maybe it's Miles' Spider-Man is the Spider-Man that goes into this universe's Avengers. Again, I think people would be fine with that. It would be very cool, and again, I just think there's so much more to this story by the end of this third one for them to do. There's still other villains out there like Morbius who haven't been explored in these games, which if they don't introduce in this third one, could be cool villains for a fourth game, or just pop up somewhere along the line. But yeah, in gameplay mechanics, I'm actually pretty happy with what Spider-Man 2 has done, especially with the combat, the traversal, and of course just how the overall game looks, and I love it. I think there should be some map extension of some sort, maybe only like 15%. It doesn't need to be like 50% like the last game genuinely was, but they do need to change, some things, the parlay system thing, or whatever you call it. I think that's what you called it in the game. Again, sometimes it just flat out doesn't work when you try it, and I've seen other people have this issue online as well. They'll click it and Spider-Man will be stuck in some weird ass animation, and he'll just get freaking destroyed without being able to, hit that move. So maybe some little things like that they can, of course, fix up. Also, they need to, in this game, make sure Spider-Man is still fun to play with, and he's not going to have these symbiote abilities most likely, which is one of the coolest parts about Spider-Man 2. So if you get rid of that, you have to give him some really cool way to match up with Miles Morales, and I don't know how they're going to do that unless they keep the symbiote stuff, which would still be, I still think it'd be pretty gas if they decide to do that. But of course, that's my early wish list for Marvel Spider-Man 3. This game is still probably not coming out for like another 3 to 4 years. Again, it's supposed to come out 2028. Probably won't till 2029. Latest 2030. I don't think it'll be pushed that far. But again, most importantly, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on all of this down below. What do you guys think? Are you excited for Marvel Spider-Man 3? And are you guys, keen to get your hands on it? What do you guys want to see them do in the game and whatnot? I'd very much like to know. Subscribe to my gaming channel, which is this one, my sports channel, which will be linked down below. Comment your thoughts and opinions, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.